Technically, constitutionally, only one thing really has to happen on Inauguration Day: the administering of the 35-word oath of office as close to noon as possible.
I, Harry S. Truman, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That oath marks the transfer of power. It's so serious, if a single word is out of place, it's not really valid. One of history's biggest inaugural flubs, 2009, when the Chief Justice mixed up some phrases.
Faithfully, the office of President of the United States.
President of the United States, faithfully.
It was mangled enough the next day President Obama had to retake the oath. Beyond that formality, all else about the day developed as a mix of tradition, carnival, and patriotism on parade. At times, it's been a little crazy. 1829, Andrew Jackson fancied himself a populist, the first outsider president. So he opened the White House to the people for a party. It was a bad idea. 20,000 drunkards crowded in. He escaped out a window. Thankfully, the day has evolved a bit since then. The real business begins after the outgoing and incoming first families have coffee together at the White House. It can be awkward. Then as they head to the Capitol, moving trucks swoop in. In just under 6 hours, the Obamas' possessions will be removed and the Trumps brought in. New carpets, couches, maybe a lick of paint. Nothing too extreme, there are rules. It is a dramatic, emotional transition, and it all happens in private. What the spectators will see is all show. Concert, parades, speeches, all intended to reflect American ideals and a bit of the president's character.
Mr. Carter was in a walking mood today.
In 1977, Jimmy Carter tossed aside the idea of a presidential convoy. He walked the entire 40 minutes from the Capitol to the White House. He wanted to stress the simplicity. Now, President Obama, like a few others, did get out and walk a bit, but no one ever accused his inauguration of being simple. It broke records for expense and attendance, more than 2 million people, the biggest event in Washington's history. Even though attendance is expected to be lower this year, Donald Trump's inauguration is set to be even pricier. Estimated cost, $200 million. Trump has raised nearly $90 million of that. That's almost double what Obama had raised. And that $90 million is supposed to go for the glitzy bits. Everything else, the security, the construction, will all be paid for by the taxpayer. Trump's theme for the day, of course, Make America Great Again. Initial ambitions, naturally huge. A parade in New York City, a helicopter ride from New York to Washington. The Secret Service didn't much like those plans. And then there are the celebrities. Many were invited. A long list have now said, no thanks. You have to know presidents are really sensitive about inauguration imagery. Richard Nixon, for example, was worried about the pigeons. He didn't want them raining on his parade. Had the inaugural committee spray a chemical in the trees to stop them from roosting, only the pigeons ate the chemical and it killed them. Pigeon carcasses all over the parade route. There are perception precautions being taken now too. See all those porta potties? They're owned by a company called Don's Johns. It seems the names have been taped over. Maybe the inaugural committee didn't want the cameras catching that. And that's the thing about inaugurations. They are said to be like the biggest of weddings. As much as you plan and prepare, you just never know what's going to happen. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News, Washington.